with a player like Trevor Zegras, trying the Michigan and trying things that guys like John Tortorella literally like their face changes when you talk about the things Trevor Zegras does with the puck. Like, you got to have somebody to protect him. And do you really want Ryan Reeves or one of these other guys that you're going to have to pay a lot of money? Or are you going to develop somebody or understand that there's like some youth somewhere in the coast and a guy like Travis Howe is a gem, you know, for what you can, do?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And it's like it's the thing with Trevor Zegras, phenomenal puck handler and deking and everything. You can do all that stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. But when you're up, 6-1 against the team when you're doing stuff like that, well, you're gonna piss a lot of people off doing it. And that's exactly what happened last year and why Jay Beagle beat the hell out of his teammate because it just got tired of it. So I mean it happens. It's the nature of the beast in hockey. Hockey is played off emotions and hormones. It's just how it goes.
Yeah, and even more so, it comes down to it, not just protecting a player when he does something stupid, but man, the longevity of the game today in order to play every single game, if you're a smaller guy, like that wears on you anyways. Just
Yeah.
having a guy, just having the threat keeps enough off of you. I think that it's worth having. If that, just having a tough guy on the bench or on the roster is enough space. And I tell you what, I play beer league. I don't know how much beer league experience you have watching or
Very
playing.
low level D League bender hockey is what my experience.
One thing I'm learning now is like I'm not always the best player, but recently I've been a better player. And if I score five goal of our team's 7 goals and we beat the team 7-6, what's to stop somebody the next time we play? They understand if they stop me, what they get out of it. So
Right.
I think that's the underutilized thing of a Travis Howe is if I'm playing Trevor Zegras, I'm gonna call up Travis Howe. I'm gonna have him shadow him. What are the chances that that I think that pressure alone from an opposition is worth like investing in somebody because if you take him out of the game or a Bedard out of the game or a McDavid out of the game, I think it levels your chances or gives you an advantage.
Well, it's like, you have your multi-million-dollar goal scorer and you put him out there with no protection or for the league minimum of whatever it is. I think it's like 750K. You could have Travis Howe here to shadow Zegras and protect him from his own self because he likes to run his mouth a lot. Um, why would that not be worth it? So you're not stuck paying this multi-million-dollar superstar to be on the IR or out with a concussion for the next, 2-3 months when you could have just had a bodyguard up there for him and Travis Howe.
100. Is there anybody else right now that you like, kind of switching gears a little bit? Is there any other fighters I should be watching or anybody that you like? Or give me a rundown of the current state of fighting in hockey.
So it's very. I will say I'm a firm believer, and I've said this even from last year. I still think the ECHL and the LNAH probably have the toughest guys rolling around the league still. Um, for the NHL, I mean, it's very few. It's like you got like 5 guys really in the NHL, and that's about it. It's like you got Reeves, Lucic, Delorier, um, what's the other guy that got with Montreal? Jack Guy, I think is his name, right?
Yep.
That's how you pronounce it. Him up there. Then for a fifth one, I mean, throw a dart and hit somebody that's tough, and you might be able to find somebody. But you go to the ECHL, and you got Howe, Nuber, Blashman, Collins, Klotz, Robideau, Skio. I mean, and that's just this like a lot of that was just the South Division. That's all over. So it's like, you got that, and then you go up to the LNH, which of course is known for the fighting, but Laval this year seems to really embrace the old school LNH. And for those who don't know what I'm like, now, if you go see these fights, I'm going to warn you right now, it's not, if you see this, look at it with a completely different mindset because it is a complete show. It is like a WWE meets hockey, and this is called the LNAH, the League North America, or like the North American Hockey League but it's in French, so they're all different over there. But I mean, Laval's still rolling. They're bringing in Derek Parker and Curtis Swanson this weekend.
What?
Yep. So they got those two coming in. They got JF LaFrance, who competed in Ice Wars. You have Thomas Belmar, um, David Amel. It's just like that league's still pretty stacked. Um, and then I guess for the AHL, you got Boko Imama, Brett and Alex Gallant, and there's really, I don't know, what's the other guy? Why can't I think of his name? Is it Ian McKinnon? I think that's who it is. Ryan McKinnon's the guy with the Avalanche, right? That's the big name guy. It's Ryan McKinnon, I think. I think it's
Forward?
yeah, the forward. Yeah, yeah. I get the McKinnon name mixed up because, or is it
Nathan McKinnon.
That shows
So
you
Ryan McKinnon. So Ryan McKinnon's a good one.
It's either Ian or Ryan. I can't remember off the top of my head. That just shows you how much NHL hockey I just don't watch anymore. I just don't watch it. It's just, for me, it's just kind of pond hockey.
I'm with you. I don't either. I don't follow it.
Again, I don't need to see a fight every game either. That's the thing. It's just like, just play hard physical hockey, but it's just a game of, it's 16 power plays and shinny. It's like, I don't want to watch this. So that's kind of the SPHL and the Fed are the two I don't know. Although I know Daniel Amesbury is just running amok out in the Federal League for Danbury, and he's I think he's still serving a suspension. So I know the Fed has employed some Ice Wars tough guys. And for those that don't know, Ice Wars is literally a hockey fighting competition ran by AJ Galante. So, but the Fed has brought in some of those guys. But I'd still say the two toughest leagues are probably the ECHL and the LNH still.
I agree. Ice Wars is a great concept. I've been following what they've been doing. I know that their first few events have been up in Western Canada, I believe.
Yep.
So it's like harder for somebody in the States or down in Florida as like a casual viewer to get the media exposure unless you follow AJ or Ice Wars or DB Trashers or hockey or anything. But after watching the recaps of that, not only do I think it's a great idea, I'm bullish on it, especially after seeing what Dana White's doing with the Power Slap League. Like, have you seen any of that?
Yeah, that's Power Slap League. That's something else.
But true.
Ice was like a disgrace, and he got the Power Slap League going on.
True, but hear me out. I think that it shows that the niches are really coming out, and now is like a time if you have like something really obscure like fighting in hockey, you can take it and you can make it its own thing because you've got cornhole championships, you've got Power Slap, know. I'm really bullish on it.
As long as there's good marketing for it, you can draw people in. I'll tell you what, that the jersey that's behind me right up here, the Dean May ran, that's from the original Black and Blue Battle of the Hockey Enforcers competition up in Prince George when they did it out in 2005. For those that don't know what that is, that was the first ever hockey fight tournament, never been done before. It created controversy then. And that was actually worn by Dean Mayran in the semifinals. He was kind enough to send that jersey to me. So Dean, if you're listening, thank you for that. And so if you were to tell me this was 2022 last year when everything happened, that there was going to be a hockey fight tournament, I said, you're out of your damn mind. Like, there's no way, especially in today's climate. But sure enough, AJ pulled it off. And I know the third one, I was really trying to make it out there. I don't think I'm going to be able to with the airfare, but it's out in Wyoming. It's supposed to be out in Cheyenne in March, I think March 3rd or March 4th. But the airfare for me is just going to be too much right now for what me and my wife got going on. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it, unfortunately. If it was like a little, like a touch closer, I'd probably be able to go. But yeah, it's great. I love it.
I've been on AJ. I only weigh about 155 pounds, and so I'm trying to get him to add like a straw weight division for me.
Yeah.
Like I want to cut a little weight. I don't want to be going up against big guys. My lack of size is my advantage. So how low can I get this weight down to? Can I go 125? Can I go 130? 135?
Ultra featherweight division.
For I'm used to playing hockey where there's no weight classes, and so fighting bigger guys, it's gonna be nice fighting somebody my size or smaller for the first time.
Yeah, that's the thing. They got their own divisions, and it's like this is the first time it's ever been like, because they did the Battle of the Hockey Enforcers at 2005, and they did another one out in Finland in 2011 called Ice Warriors. But this is the first time that there's actually like weight divisions and classes and everything. Like they did the cruiserweight division tournament, and it was awesome. and that was all on like what was it, Fight TV. You could watch it on.
Yep.
It was like $20 for pay-per-view, and it's like I would pay for this 3 times over before I watched like the. I'm just not a big UFC fan. That's what people always say too. Oh, you like hockey fights so much? Go watch UFC. I'm not really like the UFC. I'm not against it or anything. I just don't watch UFC or boxing. I just like hockey so much.
Right. I totally agree. Well, maybe you know what? I've also been putting this out there for the last 4 or 5 years. Grinelli of Spit and Chicklets is like about my size, so I've been trying to locker box him for like the last 4 or 5 years. But he's running from me, and that's an ongoing thing. If ever I get a platform, Grinelli, if we can share this with you, I'm gonna tag you, make some videos. Quit ducking me. We got a locker box. I think that's the most
Gotta get
hockey thing.
what is it? We get a rough and rowdy locker box comp going on there.
That's what I'm saying. And you could have Biz on the card against whether it's Keegan McGraw or Daniel Amesbury or one of these ISIS warrior guys.
Yeah.
I know that all those guys have called him out. I follow all of them on all the fighters on Instagram and their socials. And I think it's really cool. What you've seen pop up is these guys that normally would be in obscurity now can get a community around them. They can have sponsors. They can it gives them a platform to continue doing what they're doing. Where normally these guys would like go back and work at the plant. And
Oh yeah,
most of
no,
them, no, they still do work at the plant. Don't get me wrong, they're
right.
still at the plant. But now it's like, I looked at their sponsorships. The pants have the logos on them. Like it's really well marketed, for the fighters' benefit, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, just doing Ice Wars alone has caused this resurgence, whether it's this SPHL or the Fed. You got guys like Keegan McGraw and Daniel Amesbury playing hockey again, and it's like getting signed to play hockey. Now, I get it. It's people say it's only the federal league. If you're getting paid to play hockey, you still have to be good at hockey. So to get signed up for that, I mean, you have to be good at your craft and good at fighting. So it's not like they're just punching bags out there. Um, so I think it's been great to see that. And I know Cole Johnson got a quick stint with Danbury, I think, at the beginning of the season. And there was like, I think at least like 3 or 4 players from Ice Wars that got a shot in the Fed this year. So it's been cool to see.
Yep. I was Justin Schmidt. Did he fight in Ice Wars, or is he?
Yes, he was he was the cruiserweight champion the last tournament that they had, and he's still playing down with Columbus. I mean, that dude's insane. I was a former had him on the show to talk about his fights with like Joe Pace, and that dude's an animal. It's unreal what he's still doing for his age too. I don't there's no disrespect, but I mean he's like 42 or something like that, and still
Yep.
just giving.
Yeah, and I love that kind of stuff. Well, keep your fingers crossed. I'm gonna get some fan footage. I'm gonna get into a hockey fight in the SP this year, and you can throw it up on the page, and we'll make something out of it. You
Don't
just
let me down. Don't let me down.
Well, here's the thing: is because hockey fighting isn't a thing anymore. It's hard for somebody small like myself to find a willing combatant because why would you if you
Yeah,
don't
no,
have
that's
to?
yeah.
So what usually has to happen is I've got a couple of photos from the last time I played. You have to poke a goalie or you have to find a big guy, and there's certain strategy to who to choose and who not to choose.
Oh, mind games. Yeah, you gotta get out of the skin, and you gotta make you almost gotta force their hand, and that's where it's lacking today. You can't. It's like in today's climate, you almost can't. You're not allowed to force somebody's hand to fight. And so it's like back in the day, it was even with the instigator rule, and you had guys like Bob Probert, Tony. They didn't give a shit. If you want to play fuck around, they'll do it right now. I don't care. Or if you're gonna run at us, okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna go run Steve Eiserman next shift or something like that. And of course, Bob Probert would come in and play peacekeeper because nobody who wants to fight Bob Probert. Not many people are really psyched to go out and say, yeah, I can't wait to fight Probert tonight. So yeah, it's the mind games you got to play now, and it's still seen in the ECHL. It doesn't matter if it's Florida or whoever, but you guys start poking after the goal, or poking at the goalie after the whistle, or doing this and that. It's how you get the gloves to drop, and it's just how it goes.
100%. The SP is pretty aggressive when it comes to that stuff. I have been watching some SP hockey, and I think the more I watch and the more scraps I see, the less likely I am to poke the bear if I get a call up and play because it's gritty, it's tough. It really is, and it's a gut check moment. I've been watching some of these fights, and it's like, do you really think that you have what it takes to grab a hold of somebody and go? Like that's enough alone to like my hands are sweating, just talking about it because you can talk about it all you want. But when it's time to come, can you really do it? And just because you think you can hockey fight doesn't mean you're not going to get punched in the head and beat to a pulp. And that's usually what happens. And so,
Oh yeah, no, I've been in one fight ever in my life. It was when I was in like I was sophomore, I think, in high school, and it was at a pickup game of all things, at like a rink that we just went to. Me and my buddy snuck out, and I went because I didn't have obviously I didn't play at all. So it was just for fun, and the dude was just acting like an asshole. And I jokingly was like, "You want to go?" Well, dude took that as like, "Yeah, we're going." Eject button on the gloves. I think I threw one punch and just got tuned up. I was like, "Well, I mean, I was expecting to pick up hockey game, but I guess the moral of the story is don't ask if you want to go if you're not ready to go." I guess. So yeah, I got shit canned. Me and my buddy left really quick because I didn't want to get in trouble for my mother.
That's good. Do you study grips at all? How deep do you go in the hockey fight? Do you have a preference on grips? Do you analyze how they hold each other, different styles?
So personally, I mean, as a fan, I've seen different stuff. I will say, like Tim Hunter, I think was like the godfather at doing the cross grip, to where instead of just grabbing a shot, he grab across you. He could almost control you better and start throwing, because Tim Hunter was a very technical fighter. And I've heard, I think it was George Peros and Ice Guardians had said like the grip was like the most important part of it, like important part of his fight when he would start. Me personally, I know I've never done it because I'm not a hockey fighter, so I wouldn't exactly know what would be best. Now, if somebody asked me, "Hey, can you analyze this guy and let me see, like, what his tendencies are?" I could probably pick something out because I've watched enough hockey fights to think I know. I'll pretend like I know what I'm doing, but I could probably do something like that. But from what I've heard, a lot of people really like getting a good grip, and I've seen it before. And I know Nico Blatchman has talked about it where he didn't get a good grip on a guy and got tagged for it. So having a good grip in a hockey fight, because you got to think you're on a quarter inch steel blade and another guy's trying to pull you down and throw punches at you, you got to have something to grab onto. So if it's not sturdy and you're slipping, you're going to get tuned up.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to I find that people that have taken a jujitsu class or like gi jujitsu, not no gi jujitsu, but gi jujitsu get it because body control and like how you move is such dictated on like bends of elbows and shoulders and arms. And like if all it is swinging arms and shoulders, like it's really easy to do different types of grips and get guys, and understand that there's that the hand fighting within the fight that goes on before.
Right.
And that's what most people see. They're like, oh, Ryan Reeves is so cool because he stands there like this. Well, I don't have to move. Like he's just waiting you to come in and he's like grabbing punches. Like
Mhm.
you don't have to do much, but people don't see that. It's like, okay, I'm going to let you throw the first punch because the second you do and it hits me or it comes here, I'm going to grab your hand.
Yeah.
And like, and then if from your hand, I can grab your wrist, and from your wrist, I can grab your sleeve. And once I have your sleeve, I have your elbow. And then guess this arm is like, you can't, your sweater's drowning you.
Right. Like for me, I've always said if I see a guy who's like, if I'm studying a player and I notice that he's not, throwing a punch right off the rip and wants to grab and like get position, mentally, I would personally just be like, all right, well, I'm gonna try to, as soon as he comes in for a grab, I'm trying to punch him. Because if you could get that initial punch, and we've seen it with I mean, legendary fight, the Aaron Downey versus Jesse Bolaris fight in Dallas, where Bolaris goes to throw a punch and Downey just basically ducks it, and without even grabbing each other, one punch knocks him out. It goes to show you can counter grabs and stuff like that too, or counter first punches. So there's a lot more science into a hockey fight than people I think really realize. There's so many aspects that go into it. How's your balance? Where are your edges placed? When you punch, are you throwing jabs, or like how's your hand coming out here? Your grab, are you jostling? Are you throwing jersey jabs? Whatever. There's so many different aspects that go into the physical part of the hockey fight, and then of course the mental aspect of the hockey fight. You don't see it as much anymore, but like back in the day when it was two, like, nuclear bombs, like where you got Steve McIntyre and Derek Bugard going at it, guys like that, where they're fighting, like you're fighting him in your head like 6 days before you even play the game. And so that mental aspect,
6 months, you get the schedule 6 months in advance.
oh, so yeah, it's really like, it's like you're circling the calendar. Okay, I'm gonna fight this guy, probably gonna fight him, but you're fighting them over and over again in your head, and you're going through it, and it's like it's just the mental and physical toll that fighting can take on the body. It's just insane, and I think it goes over a lot of people's heads. It really does.
Yeah, and one of the things I've been seeing recently is like underhooks. I never saw it in hockey before because like keeping a distance was stringing a guy out and keeping your head as far
Yeah.
away as was is natural. But what I'm seeing now is you can throw an underhook under their if they're right arm dominant, you can grab underneath their arm and it's the
Hmm.
same thing. Well, those guys, somebody had to have taken a Muay Thai class and then taken it over to, well, of course they did, because every single one of these guys that's in Ice Wars trains MMA or boxing. And, I find boxing fans actually, you can get them into hockey fighting because a lot of these techniques, they're like, oh, yeah, there's that. There's the Philly shell. There's this, like different types of styles that you can, deploy to gain an advantage because everybody's going to try and do this, string you out,
Yeah.
you know jab jab come across, jab jab come across. And I'm kind of at a disadvantage as a smaller guy because I'm swimming in my jersey of a large or an extra large jersey. There's so much for a guy to grab and get me caught with. That's what I loved about what or not Tony Twist or Rob Ray, these guys where you grab a hold of and all of a sudden everything's off.
Oh yeah,
Like
Rob Ray.
they
Yeah.
understood that. Like you can't
Yeah.
grab my skin. What are you gonna grab my hair?
He literally like he had Velcro inserts on the jersey to his shoulder pads, so they would be like connected. So as soon as you grab it, it would just all like come right off. It was just insane, the stuff that Rob Ray did. But like, it's just it's just crazy to see how many different things are used in hockey fights, and you see a guy like Chris Nyland, who to my knowledge, I don't know, and maybe I'm just saying this because Chris Allen is also my favorite hockey fighter, and favorite hockey player of all time. But I want to say he was probably the first player to ever start throwing uppercuts. You never saw uppercuts in hockey fights back then, but Chris Allen was such a technical fighter because he was so much smaller. And so you find these smaller guys like a Rob Ray or Chris Allen,
Oh
where
yeah.
now they're starting to employ their own techniques that weren't used before because now he's got to get in tight and do uppercuts because if he gets strung out by 6'3" Bob Probert, he's going to get tuned up. So now you got to play. It's like there's so many different things that can go in, even for smaller guys too. It's so many different elements in the hockey fighting.
So I'll give you a couple. So the underhooks is one new thing that I think that I've seen a lot of. The other
Yep,
one is the front fight strap now. Guys getting an additional fight strap on the front of their jersey,
that's been
which
done for
allows,
years actually.
like, yeah, but like the average player, there's guys in like the SP that have that, like
Oh,
that's
really?
not like, yeah. And that's something like equipment manager, a friend of mine is telling me, he's like, he's had to do a couple front straps this year and he was in the ECHL before. And he was like, dude, guys on the coast weren't going, front strap
Yeah.
because again, that front collar, it
Mhm.
can, it, if you're against a big guy, that's the first thing they're going for. You can strap that down. It gives you an advantage because that guy has to think for a second. But yeah, the other thing I'm seeing is um, the waistbands. If same thing, if you can get your pants and your jersey in such a way that it stays close to you, the
Yep.
girdles and everything tied together and taped together, that if all you do is focus on grip, you're kind of SOL. Those are that's the trends that I'm seeing is guys are getting smarter and deploying things from outside, martial arts. Guys are tailoring their equipment, and
Yeah.
guys are willing to like, do go that extra inch to confuse these one-dimensional fighters because there's not enough fighting and you really can get by only fighting a certain way a couple times.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how much has gone into jerseys. And I know jersey mods have been around for years, and there's some way they do like the coin and the lace tie down in the front. I forget who did that. Mike Segroy did that one. I had a Link Gage jersey that he had one. It was a goalie jersey because it was fat and out of shape, Link from the LNH, but he also did like inserts to where like you're not stopping his arm from going anywhere because the sleeves were just like draped down to like here. It was just something
Right.
ridiculous. Like Kyle Newber, I know he does actually on his collar, he has the trainer reinforce the entire collar. I must have had something with jerseys ripping or something. I don't know, but the entire collar is reinforced up here. Um, and so the ECHL I know is very weird with jersey mods though, from what I was reading in the rules. So I don't know how much you could actually do to ECHL jerseys now. Like I said, I think I could be wrong, but I don't think you're allowed to add additional tie downs anymore in the coast. So to see that in the SPHL, because you're only going to see that like the SP or the NHL, like it's weird. Ovechkin uses a front tie down too. It's just something with his jersey that I think it's like over to the side too. Who it might have been Hordichuk or Dorsett. Someone had 3 tie downs. I don't even know where the third one goes. And then Steve Bosse and the LNH had the weirdest tie down I've ever seen, and it was a strap that. So it attaches to the front of the jersey and it attaches to the back of the jersey. But the only way to get it together, and it's attached by a buckle, and this sounds very weird, but what you literally had to do, you take the strap, and the only thing that makes sense is you literally loop it through your pants. And so you loop it, and it's like on your crotch. So it's almost like you're like castrating a bull. I don't know if it was to piss yourself off when you're fighting, but that's one of the weirdest jersey mods I've ever seen. So it's such a science when it comes down to it. It really is.
I love it. We're having so much fun. I won't take too much of your time because I'm going to split this probably into 2 videos and drop it because we're having a good time. Let's see. All right. So, hey, we're going to watch a video, and I don't know if you've seen this, and you can talk during it as it's going on, and you can tell me if you've seen anything like this before, and then we can kind of wrap it up. So,
hit me with
it. Screen share. All right, here we go. Let's see if this works here. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right, so we are looking at Carolina Thunderbirds versus the Wolves in the FPHL, and this is from this year, like 2023. I think this happened just a few days ago. A goalie and a player get into a fight after he stops him in the shootout.
Oh, in the shootout?
Yes. The goalie stops him. And we now have a fight that erupts between a player and a goalie. I don't know if have you ever seen anything like that?
The shootout, no, I haven't. So I've seen players. Actually, I think there was one in the SP the other day. A player and a goalie fought. This was in like actual play though. I've never seen it to where it's been done in the shootout. But I remember Ray Emery fought Andrew Peters back in the day in the Buffalo Sabres and Ottawa Senators brawl. And then, shocker, Ray Emery again he fought Josh Gratton, and Josh Gratton's a really tough dude. And that was in the AHL when he was with, I think Emery was with Philly and or he might have been with Binghamton and Gratton. No, yeah, that's what it was. Emery was with Binghamton and Gratton was with Philly. And they ended up going at it. And Ray Emery actually did pretty well against Gratton for being Josh Gratton's a really tough dude. So it happens. I've never seen that before, though, where it's in a shootout. That's new to me. I think
I love that.
Was there any suspense or anything for that?
Who knows? I didn't have a chance to fight. You would think because it's post game, it would immediately have to be,
Yeah, I would think so.
Oh, I love that. But that's my type of thing. It's like he stops you, and so you fight. Like goalie stops you, your shootout, and you're like, "Screw this! I'm gonna fight the guy."
Yeah, I've never seen that. Oh, the crying if that happened in the NHL. Oh my God, people would be outraged for that.
But you look at what's going on with Jordan Bennington. He wants it.
Oh God, I know somebody needs to tune him up already.
That would happen.
See, that's my thing with Jordan Bennington, though. It's like, and that's for any hockey player too. And you can talk and talk. Well, we just talking, or are you gonna walk the walk? I need to see Jordan Bennington actually drop the gloves. Or the gloves, the waffle board and the catcher's mitt there. So hopefully he gets in a fight. I don't know. I know he's looking for one, but who knows?
Yeah, we're all just looking for a fight, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I appreciate all your time. I know that we chatted longer than we wanted to. Now we're friends. Like this feels like something we should do more often. I appreciate all your time. Yeah. You told us how to support you, but give us one last rundown of your channels and how to get a hold of you and any last words.
Yeah, so you can still find the podcast, the ECHL fights. Not every single one of them are up there, but the ones that I can get from fan footage, you can find that on YouTube at Five for Fighting Podcast. You just search it, channel should pop right up. And again, search Five for Fighting Pod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find it there. And for closing words, I don't really have anything. I appreciate you having me on it. I feel honored that somebody wants me to have, or somebody asked me to be on their podcast to just talk about hockey fights. It's crazy to think that some people actually enjoy this stuff. So to anybody who listens and actually enjoyed the episode, I appreciate it.
Awesome, dude.